Hello and welcome back to Skip Cinematics HeroPants. This is Keenan, and this time we'll be looking into the game Dishonored, available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 4 for $29.99. For those who don't know, Dishonored is an action-adventure game with some stealth elements developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks, and released on October 8, 2012. In Dishonored, you play Corvo Attano, the silent anti-hero type. You begin the game as the head bodyguard to the Empress of Dunwall. The setting of the world is very steampunkish and is all played through the first person. It is very apparent that this game was developed by Bethesda from the first moment you step into Dunwall, and some of the sound effects are reminiscent of Skyrim. However, despite Bethesda being notorious for sprawling open-world games, Dishonored is very linear with a small amount of side objectives. Also, unlike the Elder Scrolls and Fallout games, the side quests directly impact the mission and/or what occurs to the residents of Dunwall. But even though it lacks the vast world, in each mission there are a variety of paths you can pursue to complete your objective. This includes who you kill, how you kill them, and even what you encounter. For completists like myself, it was a pleasure to traverse each landscape, peering into every nook and cranny, as well as interacting with anyone I encountered on the way. But for a player steadfast on completing the mission, many scenarios will be missed. Yet who would want to pass up the lush world that has been created for you to discover and enjoy? The story that Arcane Studios has developed for this world is incredibly dystopian. Right from the get-go, treachery is thrusted at the player. In the first few minutes of the game, Corvo is framed for the murder of the Empress and sentenced to death. But being the epic badass that you get to play as, of course you aren't actually executed. A mysterious group aids you in escape from a prison, and once you have eluded all the guards, you encounter the group that has helped you, the Loyalist Conspiracy. From here, you are directed on your missions for your path of vengeance and justice. However, as you progress, not all is as it seems, and light is shed on the people who you think are friends. Corvo's other major ally is shrouded in more mystery than the Loyalists. He is only known as the Outsider, and from the game you learn very little truth about this character. Yet he blesses you with his mark, which is apparent on Corvo's right hand. Through him, you are introduced to the character progression in Dishonored. Strung through each mission are runes and bone charms. With the runes that you collect, abilities can be unlocked and upgraded. These powers are vast in their utility and effectiveness. However, not every single power can be unlocked and upgraded, so what is chosen is really dependent on how the player chooses to play. For example, these powers range from possession, blinking, seeing through walls, summoning rats, and the list goes on. The bone charms you can collect play a much more minor role, and are really only passive boosts. The interesting fact is there's a total of 36 bone charms, but during one playthrough, only 26 are spawned. Unlike the powers, which a player has to commit to, bone charms can be swapped at any time to give you that extra edge that may be needed for different encounters. However, I found that once I found the charms I liked, I rarely swapped them out for something else. Still, it is some of the small tweaks that will make you feel like your playstyle is truly unique. But what makes Dishonored really solid is your choice of playstyle will directly reflect the world of Dunwall. As I progressed through the game, my goal was to not have anyone die. Even the major assassination targets do not have to be eliminated violently. Overall, this can change the world into a low chaos state, or a high chaos one, depending on how many people are killed and how much havoc you sow. For my experience, my only concern was the treachery of those that had betrayed Corvo and the Empress. However, for those intent on decimating their foes rather than incapacitate them, will have a much more dismal experience. Enemies known as Weepers and the carnivorous rats will be much more plentiful. Also, the difference between the two states of chaos have small tweaks on dialogue and the demeanor on some of the people that a player will encounter. So, it can be said that despite this game being more of a side project for Bethesda, it is still fine-tuned and a great amount of polish went into Dishonored. The story is excellent and resounding. My only major complaint is the ending cinematic was a bit lackluster. I would have preferred much of a big bang finale, but Dishonored ended with more of a putter. Still, the characters involved in this story contain a lot of depth and none appear shallow. As you can expect, the graphics that Bethesda puts out in their games are never lacking, and it remains true here. The atmosphere stays strong throughout, and by the end of the game, anyone should be satisfied regardless of their playstyle. Also, with the solid sense of creating your assassin how you want is honestly astounding. Whether you choose to keep to the shadows and leave all your adversaries alive to see another day, or whether you run and gun and decimate your enemies, reveals a strong dynamic experience where you truly make the story your own. For myself, which I've never particularly enjoyed an Elder Scrolls game, Bethesda proves how mighty of a video game company they are and how amazing of a world and story that they can create. With my experience of the game, there isn't much that I can find negative about Dishonored. With all that being said, overall I have to give Dishonored a 4.5 out of 5. The only reason I can't give it a full 5 is there is still a lot of mystery in the game and a few major questions go unanswered. But still, that is more of a preference than something wrong with the game. With the dynamic world, the customization options, and the fantastic story, any action-adventure fan should give this game at least one playthrough. Dishonored is not too short, nor too long, and worth every penny of $30. So, that's all I have for you on this HeroPants. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the review. Feel free to leave any comments and I'll respond to each as soon as I can. This is Keenan, and this has been another review from Skip Cinematic. And in the case of Dishonored, they aren't necessarily the pants we want, but the pants that we need right now.